Good day, everyone. So today, we are going to report the topics that has been discussed by our teachers or our fellow classmates. The task given to us was to choose one topic that we will be reported in each subjects, including Pagbasa at Pagsuri, reading and writing, 21st century literature, and physical science. The first subject is physical science. The topic that we have chosen is element and compound that will be reported by Jerlyn Cal, Ann Corvera, and Love Pautan.
So, the first one is matter. So, what is matter? Matter is a substance in general as distinct form, mind, and spirit that which occupies space and possesses mass. Matter has three basic states: the solid, liquid, and the gas. Solid matter is composed of tightly packed particles. A solid will retain its shape. The particles are not free to move around. It will take the shape of its container. Particles can move about within a liquid, but they are packed densely enough that volume is maintained. So the next one is liquid. Liquid is a nearly incompressible fluid that conforms to the shape of its container but retains a nearly constant volume independent of pressure and is the only state with a definite volume but no fixed shape. So the next one is the gas. Gas is a state of matter that has no fixed shape and no fixed volume. Gases have the lower density than other states of matter, such as solids and liquids. The particles exert more force on the interior volume of the container. And also, there is two classification of matter. The one who can be physical separated and the one who can be physical separated. It is the pure substance and the mixture. So, the first one is the pure substance. Pure substance are substances that are made up of only one kind of particles and has a fixed or constant structure. Pure substances are further classified as elements and compounds. An element is a substance that consists of only one type or kind of atom. And the compound is the one, on the other hand, are also pure substance when two or more elements are combined chemically in a fixed ratio. And also, all elements are most pure substance such as gold, copper, oxygen, chlorine, diamond, and etc. Compounds such as water, salt, or crystals, baking soda, amongst others, are also groups as pure substance. The next one is what is mixture. A substance, on the other hand, is impure if it consists of different kinds of elements combined physically and not chemically. So, yun yung pagkakaiba nilang dalawa. Pure substance is combined chemically while the mixture is combined physically. Impure substances are also called mixtures. Mixtures are further divided into a homogeneous or heterogeneous mixture. So, a homogeneous mixture is occasionally called a solution and is comparatively unvarying in configuration or constant. The next one is the heterogeneous, is a concoction whose configuration varies from spot to spot within the sample.
There are two types of pure substance, which are element and compound. Element is the simplest form of pure substance, kasi meron silang one type of atom only. Element cannot be broken into anything else by physical or chemical means. Kasi nga, ito na yung pinaka-simple na form. Example nito is yung mga elements sa periodic table, like gold or Au, oxygen or O, and beryllium or Be. Compound. Compound is two or more elements that are chemically combined. Unlike dun sa element which is the simplest form and cannot be separated by anything else, compound can be broken into its separate components only by chemical means. So, hindi siya pwede sa physical processes. Sa type na to, makikita yung mga combined elements chemically. Example nito, water or H2O, which is a combination of the elements hydrogen and oxygen. Isa pang example yung sugar or C12H22O, which is a combination of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen.
Homogeneous. What is a homogeneous mixture? A homogeneous mixture is a type of mixture in which the composition is uniform and every part of the solution has the same properties. So, a homogeneous mixture, occasionally called a solution, is comparatively unvarying in figuration or constant. Every unit of the mixture is like every other unit. For instance, if you liquefy sugar in water and blend it really well, your conclusion is essentially the same no matter where you sample it. This mixture contains two or more chemical substances. This mixture include air, saline solution, most alloys, and bitumen. Heterogeneous. What is heterogeneous? A heterogeneous mixture is a mixture of two or more chemical substances where the various components can be visually distinguished. A heterogeneous mixture is a conclusion whose figuration varies from spot to spot within the sample. For example, if you put a little amount of sugar in a vessel and some sand and shake the jar for a couple of times, your conclusion doesn't have the configuration all throughout the jar. As the sand is heftier, there's possibly more amount of sand at the bottom of the jar and more sugar at the top part. This mixture can be identified visually and separate easily by physical means. Some examples of heterogeneous mixture include sand, oil, water, and chicken noodle soup. Colloids. What is a colloid? A colloid is a phase-separate mixture in which one substance microscopically dispersed in soluble particles is suspended throughout another substance. So colloids are mixture in which one or more substances are dispersed as relatively large solid particles or liquid droplets throughout a solid, liquid, or gaseous medium. The particles of colloids remain dispersed and do not settle due to gravity, and they are often electrically charged. Some examples of colloids: whipped cream, mayonnaise, milk, butter, gelatin, jelly, muddy, water, plaster, colored glass, and paper.
Solution is a type of homogeneous mixture when one substance dissolves in another. It is the best mixed kasi it is evenly spread out and thoroughly mixed. Example ng solution is yung ocean water. Solute is the substance that is being dissolved. Example nito yung salt. Solvent is the substance that does the dissolving. Example nito yung universal solvent natin, which is water. So, pag pinagsama yung solute and solvent or salt and water, nagkakaroon tayo ng solution na ocean water.
Next is reading and writing. The topic that we have chosen in this subject is explicit and implicit that will be reported by Ann Corvera, VJ Lapus, and Joy Zaragoza.
Implicit. when you mean that something is understood but not clearly stated. The definition of implicit refers to something that is suggested or implied but not ever clearly said. So, implicit text or implicit claims, ito yung type ng text na from the word itself, implying, ipinapahiwatig. Kumbaga, nandito yung gustong iparating ng isang writer, pero hindi siya clearly or openly stated. Nandun pa rin yung idea, and kadalasan hindi nagigets agad ng iba just by reading or looking. Hindi siya ginagamitan ng fully revealed details and information.
So, for example, if you don't show more appreciation, I'll review my option. So, another example, when your wife gives you a dirty look, when your socks is on the floor, without reservation or doubt. So, yung wife niya is di niya totally sinabi or indirect niya sinabi sa husband niya na yung socks ay nasa floor. Pero directly naman niya napahiwatig sa husband niya yung gusto niya sabihin.
Explicit claims in a text. Explicit text is obvious because it is fully revealed and straightforward. Kumbaga, no room for confusion kasi detalyado at madaling maintindihan yung text na to. Hindi na kailangan ng clue or ginagamitan ng hint like implicit text. Kasi nandoon na mismo sa text yung idea or yung gustong iparating ng author. Let's take a look at our example. I said, if I don't get a pay rise, I'll leave. So, para maintindihan agad yung gusto niyang iparating, he said it in a straightforward and not in a misleading sentence. He will leave if he don't get what he wants to get. Explicit text is also direct because it is clearly stated and precise. Kung babalikan natin yung example kanina, hindi na siya gumamit ng deep words or highfalutin words kasi hindi siya necessary sa gusto niyang sabihin. Instead, he used clear and precise phrases or words. At makikita natin agad na he is demanding for a pay rise just by reading the text.
For literal, factual, or detail. Explicit also means denote that something is understood although not clearly or directly expressed or conveyed. There is implication, assumption, or question. It often precedes a preposition, usually in and less frequently from, with, or within.
Tapos na tayo sa physical science at reading and writing. Ang susunod naman ay pagbasa at pagsuri na itatalakay ni Rosel Clare-Daroy, Christy Pascua, and John Leonard Adodoli.
Ang perception. Ito ang pagkilala at pagtukoy sa mga nakalimbag na simbolo at kakayahan sa pagbigkas ng mga tunog. Comprehension ay ang pag-unawa sa mga nakalimbag na simbolo o salita. Reaction ay ang kaalaman sa pagpapasya o paghahatol ng kawastuhan, kausayan, pagpapahalaga at pagdama sa teksto. At ang integrasyon ay ang kaalaman sa pagsasanib o pag-uugnay at paggamit ng mga mambabasa sa kanyang dati at mga bagong karanasan sa tunay na buhay. Ito ay pagkilala sa mga nakalimbag na simbolo at maging sa pagbigkas ng wasto sa mga simbolong nababasa.
Ang integrasyon ay isang salita na siyang nangangahulugan bilang pagsasama-sama ng isang bagay o kaya integration sa wikang banyaga. Mas madaling malikom o makolektang impormasyon sa pamamagitan ng pagsasagawa ng integrasyon. Upang magamit ang salitang integrasyon sa pangungusap, kailangan munang alamin at maunawa ng kahulugan nito. Mga halimbawa ng pangungusap na ginagamit ang salitang integrasyon. Ilan sa mga halimbawa ng pangungusap na gamit ang salitang integrasyon ay ang mga sumusunod. Mababatid ang integrasyon ng jazz at R&B sa musikang nilikha ni Rhea. Pangalawa, layunin ng paaralan na magkaroon ng integrasyon sa pagitan ng mga Katoliko at Muslim. Pangatlo, hindi maganda ang naging simula ng integrasyon ng Aprikano sa bansang Amerika. At ang panghuli naman ay inaral mabuti ni Albert ang integrasyon ng dalawang kulay ng bulaklak na naging sanhi ng pagkakaroon ng panibagong kulay nito. At ayan ang tamang paggamit at kahulugan ng integrasyon. Dumako naman tayo sa paglalapat o aplikasyon.
Ito ay pagsasanib ng mga kaisipang nabasa at ng mga karanasan upang magdulot ng bagong pananaw at kaunawa. Ito rin ay pagbibigay ng opinyon at reaksyon. Maaari rin itong pag-uugnay ng binasang kaisipan ng kanyang sariling karanasan at sa tunay na pangyayari sa buhay. At dito nagtatapos ang ibig sabihin ng paglalapat o aplikasyon. Komprehensyon ng ikalawang proseso. Pagpaproseso ito ng mga impormasyon o kaisipang ipinahayag ng simbolong nakalimbag sa binasa. May 4 na antas ng kategorya sa pag-unawa ni Banton Smith, 1969. Una, pag-unawang literal. Nakapokus ito sa mga ideya at impormasyong tuwirang nakalahad sa teksto. Ang mga kasagutan sa tanong na literal ay ang simpleng pag-alaala sa mga impormasyon at detalyeng nakapaloob sa babasahin. Pangalawa, interpretasyon. Ito ay nangangailangan ng mas mataas na antas ng pag-iisip. Ang mga sagot sa mga tanong sa kategoryang ito ay hindi tuwirang nakalahad sa teksto, ngunit nakapahiwatig lamang. Pangatlo, mapanuring pagbasa. Napapahalagahan ang kaangkupan, katiyakan, at pagkamatotohanan ng impormasyong nakalahad sa teksto. Huli, malikhaing pagbasa. Gumagamit ang tagabasa ng kakaibang kasanayan sa pag-iisip na lagpas sa antas ng pag-unawang literal, interpretasyon, at mapanuring pagbasa.
And last is 21st century literature. And we have chosen the topic imagery that we will be reported by John Alcantara, Rosel Claire Daroy, John Leonard Adadori, and I myself, Jamina Higramal.
Imagery. It is a part of figurative language in a literary work, whereby the author uses vivid image to describe a phenomenon. Imagery is a language used by poets, novelists, and other writers to create image in the mind of the reader. Though imagery contains the word image, it does not only refer to descriptive language that appeals to the sense of sight. Imagery includes language that appeals to all of the human senses, including sight, hearing, touch, smell, and taste. Imagery can and often does benefit from the use of figurative language and metaphorical language to improve the reader's experience through their senses. Imagery can also be written without using a figurative language at all. There are 5 main types of imagery, including visual, auditory, olfactory, gustatory, and tactile imagery. And there are 2 types of imagery extend beyond these main types of imagery. These are kinesthetic and organic imagery. Many of these deal with the 5 senses, which all work together to help us create mental images of whatever we are reading.
So, visual imagery. Visual imagery is a mental image or mental picture. It is an experience that, on most occasions, significantly resembles the experience of visually perceiving some object, event, or scene, but occurs when the relevant object, event, or scene is not actually present to the senses. It means that even if you cannot see what is the scenes in the poetry, you can visualize what scenes was going on by the word used in the poet or poem. So, next is auditory. Auditory imagery is a form of mental imagery that is used to organize and analyze sounds when there is no external auditory stimulus present. This form of imagery is broken up into a couple of auditory modalities such as verbal imagery or visual or musical imagery. Auditory or audio imagery. Auditory or audio imagery. This imagery visualizes what is sounds that cannot be heard in the poem. It's like this kind of imagery can be our ears in what we read in the poem for us to imagine more what the scenes we read. Example of these two imagery is this is an expert from Preludes and Imagery from by T.S. Eliot. This is an excellent example of visual imagery and auditory imagery. You can almost see and hear are the horse steaming and the stamping of the smell the sticks. The winter evening settles down with the smells of sticks in passageways. 6 o'clock, the burnt-out ends of smoky days. And now a gusty shower wraps the grimpy scraps of withered leaves about your feet and newspapers from vacant lots. The showers beat on broken blinds and chimney pots, and the corner of the street a lonely cob horse steams and stamps. And then the lightning of the lamps, and then the lightning of the lamps.
Olfactory imagery. It describes of what we smell. Just for example, fragrances, bad odors, aroma, and scents. Gustatory imagery. Definitely describes of what we taste. Just for example, sour, sweet, bitter, or salty. Tactile imagery. It describes of what we feel or what we touch. It can be texture, movement, or temperature.
So, here's an example of poems and let's identify the imagery used. Taste of Summer by Swati Goswami. Taste of Summer by Swati Goswami. Crushed leaves and grass, tasty tangy smell of summer. Trees are full and plush, fruits are succulent and ripe. The gulmohar bright and proud, sways in the warm breeze. Lazy silent afternoons are intoxicating, balmy wind to refresh the evening walkers. Thirsty birds skip from branch to branch, looking for water truths. Fearless rowdy boys are at play, the sun doesn't dampen their playful spirit. As the dusk falls in, the timid ones venture out. I know the rain's around the corner, the breeze wind will soon be moist. I take a deep breath and try to drink the summer. The gustatory imagery used in this poem are tasty, succulent, and ripe. The olfactory imagery used in this poem is tangy, and last, the tactile imagery used in this poem are warm, balmy, dampened, and moist.
Kinesthetic imagery appeals to the reader's sense of motion, movements, and action. It may include the sensation of being in a fast vehicle or the feelings of a bumpy ride. This can be similar to tactile imagery, but deals more with full body sensations such as those experienced during exercises. Rushing water, flapping wings, and pounding heart are all examples of kinesthetic imagery. Here's an example of poem that has imagery, and let's identify the kinesthetic imagery used. Mongoose by Frederick Douglass Harper. Their steps are quick and low, fastly scooting they often go, minding their own business of the day. A friend of man and woman they are, kindly and cute animals by far. Mongooses, how beautifully they stroll along. Mongooses, how beautifully they stroll alone. Their brown coat glistening in the sun, creatures of charm on the run. So the kinesthetic used in this poem are steps are quick and low, fastly scooting, how beautifully they stroll along, how beautifully they stroll alone, and last, glistening in the sun. Organic imagery pertains to personal experiences of a character's body like fatigue, hunger, or thirst, and internal emotions such as fear, love, and despair. Organic imagery is the most difficult form of imagery to write because it deals with creating a specific feeling or emotion within the reader. Phrases that makes the reader feel sad, fearful, nostalgic, elated, even lost are all extremely effective organic imagery. Here's an example of poem that has imagery, and let's identify the organic imagery used. Hope is a Thing with Feathers by Emily Dickinson. Hope is a thing with feathers that perches in the soul, and sings the tune without the words, and never stops at all. And the sweetest in the gale is heard, and sore must be the storm, that could abash the little bird that kept so many warm. I've heard it in the chillest land, and on the strangest sea, yet never, in extremity, it asked a crumb of me. So, the imagery or the organic imagery used in this poem are sore, abash, warm, and chilliest.
So what is the importance of imagery? Imagery can make something abstract like an emotion or theory seem more concrete and tangible to the reader. By using imagery, writers can evoke the feeling they want to talk about in their readers. And by making their readers feel, writers can also help readers connect to the message in their work. Also, the importance of imagery is writing creatively for us to express what we feel and what is in our minds and what our heart says. Describe for how we want to imagine things in our stories or poets. Deepen understanding for or to those writers that they were feeling writing their works or poems.
Sana ay naintindihan ninyo at natutunan nyo ang aming mga tinalakay. Thank you for waiting and watching. Have a good day, everyone!